I wanna find a place that's for conversation, where they discuss all the latest movies, or when something big happens in the news. See, that's us, what are we talking about? So what are we talking about today?
Hello everybody, and welcome to episode whatever this is, 10 or 11 or 12 of the Carcast. Thanks for joining me. You'll notice, if you're watching this on YouTube, that this is a audio-only version. Yeah, that would be because I forgot my camera today, so I'm just recording this audio-only. But anyways, we had a bit of a busy weekend. It was my birthday on Thursday, so had some family over and stuff for a birthday dinner this weekend and whatnot. It was pretty good. But, you know, sometimes family can be stressful. Definitely it was this, like yesterday. I have a relative that me and this relative don't really see eye to eye on basically anything, and they kind of are condescending in the way they speak, so it's just aggravating. And when it's my birthday and I'm supposed to be having a good time, you know, it sucks to be just high anxiety, completely stressed out the whole time. But the thing is, even though it was my birthday supper celebrating my birthday, it wasn't for me. I wasn't the one who asked for it, and it's not on, like, I'm not the one who enjoys these birthday dinners. It's just something that you do because maybe your grandparents want to see you on your birthday. Fine, whatever. That's why I do it. I don't love it, but they do apparently. So I do it still. We'll see how. Yeah, it was just stressful. That's all I'll say. And then because of the busy weekend, I wasn't really super prepared today to do a podcast. Like I didn't really know what I was going to do. I'd be kind of thinking about it a little bit, didn't really think about it too much though. And I was like, what am I going to talk about this week? But then today, just a beautiful news dropped this morning that allowed me to know what I'm going to talk about. But before I get to that, which you'll know what that is because it'll be the title of this episode, I just want to mention quickly, they also announced the ratings board has come forward and said the rating for Logan, the new Wolverine movie, is going to be R, and they said it was for brutal violence and brief nudity. So if you were, like, I know a little while ago, I forget what the director, James Mangold, I believe is the director, said, we don't know what the rating is yet because the ratings board hasn't, like, they made the movie with an R rating in mind. That's what they figured they were going to get, but they weren't sure because the rating hadn't been rated yet. But now it has, it's rated R. So if that's something you were super looking forward to, was the rated R Wolverine movie, it's what we're getting. I'm excited. Are you guys excited? Did you expect, like, I kind of figured that's what it was going to happen, but what did you guys think? Did you expect Logan to be rated R? I'd like to know your thoughts. But let's be real, that's not the news. That's not the big news. It is some news, but it was also kind of expected. But completely unexpected news that is super awesome, and I'm excited as hell now. They have come out with the announcement of the new, well, not new, well, yes, new. The title for Star Wars Episode 8. They've come out and said what the title is. And it's not just Star Wars Episode 8. It's Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, there's plenty of things that this could mean, but first I just want to talk about, like, my initial reaction. When I first heard The Last Jedi, first of all, I did not expect that we were going to get a title. I mean, I kind of figured we'd be getting something soon. A title or a trailer or whatever, something. I didn't expect this today. And the fact that we got it is awesome. Now, the title itself, The Last Jedi, it almost seems like a title that should be for a third movie in a trilogy, like Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, The Last Jedi. So for the fact that it isn't the last movie in the trilogy, it is the second movie in the trilogy, that kind of is a little more intriguing. Like, what could the third movie be if we already are seeing The Last Jedi in the second movie? I mean, some people have speculated that it's Luke Skywalker, and appropriately so, makes sense. Even in the title crawl of The Force Awakens, it says the First Order is searching for Luke, the last known Jedi, Luke Skywalker. I might not have gotten that exactly right, the wording, but it's something to that effect, where it says the last Jedi, Luke Skywalker. So a lot of people, and rightfully so, are making the assumption that Luke Skywalker is the last Jedi. But I think there's a possibility that Luke, like, yes, Luke was a Jedi. He was the last Jedi at the end of Return of the Jedi. But I think there's a very big possibility that Luke isn't, like, he is the last Jedi. He was the last Jedi. No longer is he a Jedi. That's what I think. I think there's a large chance that Luke Skywalker is no longer a Jedi. That doesn't mean that he's a Sith. Doesn't mean he's a Knights of Ren, or it doesn't mean anything. It could just mean there's a possibility he has... If you've been watching Rebels, you'll know what I'm talking about, but there's a possibility that he isn't as extreme as the Jedi or the Sith. He could be more in the middle, somewhere in between the dark and the light, where you know the Force, you are a Force user, but you aren't necessarily a Jedi. Because Luke wasn't even, like, yes, he technically was the last Jedi at the end of Return of the Jedi, but was he really a Jedi? Is he, if you compare Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi to just any regular Jedi in the prequel era, Luke isn't really a Jedi. Like, he's a light side Force user that calls himself a Jedi, but he doesn't practice the same things as Jedi. As far as we know, like, there was no lesson where Yoda sat down with Luke and said, dude, you can't have attachments with people, you can't have sex, you can't have children. Like, it's possible that is part of his life, but it's also possible that it's not. As far as we know, I mean, as far as I know, they have never come out and said whether or not all of the aspects of a Jedi were taught. And I think Yoda even saw the error of the Jedi's ways by the end of Return of the Jedi and going into A New Hope, or sorry, Return of the Jedi, I meant Revenge of the Sith. Going into A New Hope, Yoda, I think, realized that the Jedi weren't what he thought they were. And yes, Jedi are seen as this force for good in the universe, but just because something is seen as a force for good, does that mean that it is 100% entirely a good thing? I don't think so. I think there's, that, especially if you look at the fall of Anakin Skywalker, that was a lot to do with Yoda and Mace Windu were the cause of Anakin's fall in a lot of ways. First of all, it was Yoda and Mace who decided, no, this 10-year-old kid is way too old to start training. We can't train him. So he already feels like an outsider. Anakin already feels like an outsider in episode 1. Then in episode 2, he's clearly killing it. Like, he has a lot of just innate Force abilities. He's the only human who can pod race in episode 1. Like, he clearly has a lot of innate automatic Force abilities. And so there's the conversation he has with Padme where he's like, I feel like I'm being held back by the Jedi. And then in episode 3, basically Palpatine gets him on the council, and Palpatine knew that the Jedi would not be okay with that, and they were like, no, you can be on the council, but you're not a master. We're not going to grant you that rank. And it was seen as even more of a betrayal by Anakin. And then when he finally saw when he finally saw Mace about to kill Palpatine, that was the final straw kind of thing. And yes, all of this was basically set up by Sheev Palpatine, but it's not like the Jedi helped. They played right into his plans. Like, they didn't resist the dark side at all. They were just blinded by it, and they allowed it unknowingly to manipulate all of the events, resulting in the most powerful Jedi turning and falling to the dark side in Anakin Skywalker. And the thing is, like, yeah, it's not necessarily just their fault. That's just the way their religion worked. And who's to say whether or not a religion is right? Like, it's all personal opinion. If you find solace in that belief, good for you. Like, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. But that's the thing. It does hurt other people. It's a weird way to live, to be a Jedi. Like, the fact that they basically are not allowed to feel emotion. And part of the Jedi code says there is no emotion, there is only peace, I believe is the line. There is no emotion. That's weird. Like, definitely, if you hinder people, if you block them from being their own natural selves, things are going to be bottle up inside you and then explode out. And it's not like Anakin is the first Jedi to fall to the dark side. It happens quite often. Dooku, who was a Jedi for like 40 or 50 years and then fell to the dark side? That's the thing. Jedi, clearly being a Jedi isn't all that it's cracked up to be. And so I honestly do not think that Luke could truly be classified as a Jedi. I think he's almost become something else. Where, yes, he is still a light side user, but even look at in Return of the Jedi, the first time you see Luke, he's wearing all black and he chokes out 2 Gamorrean guards. That is some dark emotions feeding those powers. We know that is Darth Vader's specialty, is the death choke, the Sith grip choke maneuver. I don't really know what the exact, there's no proper name for it. Force choke, I guess. It's a dark side move. It's a dark, you have to channel very dark emotions to channel the dark side, and that is part of it. Luke has always been very conflicted, the same way Anakin was. And I think the reason why this movie is called The Last Jedi is because we're going to, for the first time, see that there's so much more of a gray area involved with the Force. And it's not just black and white. It's not just dark and light. There's more to it. Look at Maz Kanata. She knows the Force. She's not a Jedi. Look at Ahsoka in Rebels. She's no longer a Jedi, but she still knows the Force, wields the Force. She's still a powerful Force user. Like, even look at, if you read the Rogue One Catalyst book, Jyn Erso's family is very connected to the Force in terms of kyber crystals and that sort of thing. They're not Jedi, but they know the Force. And that's the thing. Everything doesn't have to be black and white. Like in episode 4, when it was originally made and it was originally just Star Wars, it was pretty simple. You have a blue lightsaber, you're the good guy. You have a red lightsaber, you're the bad guy. But as time goes on, we see more and more that everything isn't so black and white. And yes, it's not necessarily the best script in episode 3, but Anakin even says it in episode 3. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. that's the thing. Everything is from a certain point of view. And if you completely succumb to the light, it's not good. If you completely succumb to the dark, it's not good. Even Yoda in the Clone Wars series accepted the dark side, and he allowed it to enter him. He had been fighting the dark side for 850 odd years, and now only at the end of the Clone Wars did he find it in himself. The truth is, you can't fight the dark side. The dark and the light are a part of every being. And this is, honestly, this is how I feel about real life as well. I believe in the Force in a way. It's not the same, I don't fully believe in the Star Wars of the Force, where it's like you can move your hand and you can move things with your mind and that sort of thing. That's not what the Force is to me. To me, the Force is it's just like Obi-Wan says, it's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, and it binds the galaxy together. And it's an energy field created by all living things. Every living thing has dark and light inside them. And I think this is the first time we're ever going to see in a movie a gray Jedi. And I think Luke will be that great Jedi. And yes, it still has the terminology Jedi at the end, but it's not the same as a classical Jedi. They might even have a new name for it in the modern canon, because gray Jedi is not a canon term. But I would love to see that that's where they're heading, to show you have to embrace the dark and learn to accept it and control it without letting it overtake you. But it's the same as the light. If you want to be the most powerful and the most in tune with the Force, you can't only accept the light into your life and fight the dark. You can't only accept the dark into your life and fight the light. We've seen it go bad on both sides. We have never seen somebody be 100% in between the dark and light and 100% accepting of the entirety of the Force. The mantra of the Grey Jedi is, there is no dark side, there is no light side, there is only the Force. And I think that is going to be the overall message of this new trilogy, and I really am excited, because that's how I feel about the Force in Star Wars and in real life, is that everyone has bad days, everyone has good days, everyone has dark emotions and light emotions. Everyone has these feelings, and you can't just block certain emotions and only if everyone was only happy all the time, then you would just you would be bottling up all of your anger and frustrations and sadness and everything inside, and then one day you'll either die from unknown medical causes of just never feeling emotion, or you'll snap and go either crazy, or you'll flip out and hurt someone or something. And it's almost akin to, if you have seen the new Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the Obscurial / Obscurus, the new wizarding thing that's in the movie, where basically if you're a wizard that has been forced to subdue your magic abilities, you can't control it, and it controls you, and it takes over and comes out violently, so usually killing the host. And that is essentially what happens to Jedi and Sith. The Sith, basically being just surrounded by darkness, they allow themselves they just allow themselves to be surrounded so much by darkness that they end up either being destroyed by their apprentice or something like that, or else they destroy themselves searching for more power or whatever, because they are always trying to gain more. There is no balance in a Sith. And even though the Jedi talk about balance and act like they're all about the balancing of the Force, they're not. They really aren't. If it was up to a Jedi, there would be no dark side allowed ever. But as I don't know, lots of classic writers have said, you can't have good without evil. You can't have the light without the dark. Everyone has this in them. And that's the most important thing, is accepting both sides of yourself. And I really do think that that's what this movie is going to be. The Last Jedi, I think, is it's about Luke saying, we're done. The Jedi are done. The Jedi are no more. The Sith are no more. The Knights of Ren aren't going to be fully dark, I think. And Luke's academy of quote-unquote Jedi aren't going to be entirely light. You have to be able to get angry. You have to embrace a little bit of that dark to not go crazy. And like I said, even if you watch the lost episodes of the Clone Wars, Yoda realizes this. He faces off against his own dark side. And eventually, the only way that he is able to survive and win is by embracing that dark side and agreeing, this is a part of me. This is what the Force is. It's not just, you can't control the Force 100%. It's impossible. It's a force of nature, no pun intended. If you try and control it too much, it's the same thing that happens to Sith. Sith become horribly disfigured because what they're doing is unnatural, but it's not like what the Jedi are doing is completely natural. The Jedi and the Sith both try to manipulate the Force to their own will, whereas a gray Jedi isn't about that. They're not trying to manipulate the Force. They're not trying to bend it to their will. It's more like Chirrut Imwe from Rogue One. He doesn't control the Force. He lets the Force control him. He instinctually knows what to do because the Force tells him. And I think that is where we'll see Luke at the start of episode 8, is not light, not dark, but somewhere in between. And I'm excited for the future of Star Wars. But hey guys, I would love to know, what are your guys' thoughts on this new title? Do you think I'm crazy with this whole idea of a gray Jedi, of Luke being a gray Jedi? I would love to know your guys' thoughts. So throw it in the comments, or tweet at me at Winter Trooper, or you could tweet at us at the show at What We Talking. But this might be a little bit of a shorter episode, but that's going to be basically it for me. I'm just going to talk about reading, watching, or playing. So I am, as I told you last week, still re-listening to the Harry Potter books. I'm on to the 3rd book now. And I got to say, I used to think that J.K. Rowling just like didn't have any plan, and she just made some books and then later made some other books and made them tie in together. But it's not true. Clearly, she knew where she was going with this story from the beginning. There's certain things that go on in the books where it's like, yes, of course, the first time I read the book, I had no idea what this meant. But now, after knowing where this story goes and what everything means, she's clearly foreshadowing. The only thing I can think of, and I'm not done yet, so I don't know, but the only thing I can think of that still is a little bit of a surprise is the fact that Aberforth is the barman in the Hog's Head, because they kind of don't set that up at all. And then just all of a sudden, you don't even really know Dumbledore has a family until the 7th book. So for that, like, it felt I don't know. I'll update you guys as I get closer to that book. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of where it's like, I think she had this essential plan the whole time. Especially if you, like, originally, I used to think she didn't know that the book was a Horcrux when she made that movie, or when she wrote that book. I'm talking about Riddle's Diary from book 2. But after re-listening to the book again, The Chamber of Secrets, I think she knew. I think she already had it planned out. Maybe she didn't have the name Horcrux planned out, but she knew this book, it's not just a memory of Tom Riddle. That was a piece of Tom Riddle's soul in the book. And yeah, it's just incredible to hear all this setup, and like just the depth involved in this universe is incredible. And I this is my favorite book series by far. So yeah, if you have not read or listened to Harry Potter, check it out. The Audible versions are quite good. I really, really enjoy it. But yeah, so that's my reading, watching, or playing. But hey, here's a good one. I never ask you guys, but I'd love to know. What have you been reading, watching, or playing? Is there any new good games that you started playing, or a movie that you just watched, or TV show that's really awesome that I should check out? Let me know. Tweet at me. Hashtag reading. Let's see. What's a good hashtag? Hashtag RWP. Yeah, whatever. Hashtag it whatever you want. But yeah, just tweet at me, at What We Talking. Let me know what you've been reading, watching, or playing. But there we go, guys. That's it for me for this episode of the Carcast. Thank you so much for joining me on this special audio-only edition because I forgot my camera. Yeah, so I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on the new title release and the rating of Logan. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me and watching and listening. Until next time, never stop using the Force. And may the Force be with you. Always.
Glad to see you here on YouTube. Now you wonder what should I do. Staring at my faces from Memory Nation. I wanna find a place that's for conversation. Where do they discuss all the latest movies? Or when something big happens in the news? See, that's us. What are we talking about?